I think this is the absolute perfect property for an owner-occupied buyer to look at. Hey, what's up guys? I'm Cody Charnell, investor and multifamily real estate broker here in Long Beach. Today, we're gonna be checking out a recently closed duplex that I think is one of the best deals I've seen in a long time. So I'm excited to share it with you. Just a little disclosure, I didn't have anything to do with this sale. I'm simply bringing it to you to show you what's happening in our local market, help you better understand how to underwrite multifamily deals. So if you get any value out of this, I would appreciate it if you could drop me a like and a subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so let's start with the listing. So property address is 3530 Orange Avenue, located here in the city of Long Beach. This is going to be in the California Heights neighborhood, which is a very cool historical district within Long Beach. Asking price for this property was $799, and it ended up selling in just 11 days for $835,000. And if you've been watching the news, you probably heard that the real estate market, might be on the rocks because interest rates are so high, but this property sold over asking price in just over a week. So you can see there's still strong demand, especially for great deals like this one. And we'll get into why I think this is a great deal. But the property is 2 units, 1,922 square feet of living space on a 4,400 square foot lot, and 1953 construction. And you can see the description says, charming duplex, walking distance to shops and restaurants. The units are both 2-bedroom, 1-bath, each quite spacious at almost 1,000 square feet each. So you have really good sized units here. If we scroll down to the bottom of to the lower part of the listing here, we can see, 2-bed, 1-bath units each. Both are rented for $1,475 a month, which is really, really low. There's more than $1,000 of upside on each of those rents. And if we go a little bit lower here, we can see some photos. So here we see the property. In this photo, you can kind of see how it's set up. So there's actually a mirror image building right next door, and the 2 buildings share a central walkway, which you can see here, kind of looking back towards the street. So a little bit of a downside there because you have the shared walkway, but not the end of the world. Both units are connected in one contiguous building. You can see inside the first unit here. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. I think it has the original wood floors, which could use a refinish, but overall it looks like it's in decent condition. Kitchen looks like it's probably original from the 1950s with that tile countertop and the older style cabinets, but again, not in terrible shape. And you can see the bedroom here. I think, here's the next unit. So this one, it looks like it has updated floors. This one also has kind of cool ceiling detail there that you can see. Gives it some historical flavor. You can see there is like an open living area, dining area situation. And overall, this one looks like it's in great condition as well. So something that you don't see in the photos on this listing is that there's actually garages. So now let's take a look at the location and we can check it out on Street View. All right, so as I mentioned before, this property is located in the Cal Heights neighborhood of Long Beach. So really close to Los Cerritos and Bixby Knolls, which are very nice neighborhoods. Los Cerritos, you have some houses that were in movies, like $2-3 million homes over in this neighborhood. Bixby Knolls as well, very nice neighborhood. Cal Heights has a lot of older homes, a lot of Spanish style, craftsman style homes, which are very trendy. And property prices in this neighborhood are generally going to be on the higher end for Long Beach. So this is a desirable neighborhood. The property is on a major street. So Orange Avenue is one of the main thoroughfares that goes north to south in this neighborhood. If we zoom in on the property here, and let me change to satellite view. Okay, so you can see what the building looks like overhead. So you have 2 attached units and an attached garage here in the back. And you can see the mirror image building next door, which is, owned by someone else, but maybe they were owned by the same person at some point. And then I mentioned garages. So if we go to the alley here, you can see two one-car garages. It looks like there's, space to park a car here and just outside of the fence or right next to the garage there. And then if we go to the front of the property, you can see what it looks like from the street. So yeah, you can see the buildings are mirror image. They share that central walkway. Get a little bit better view of it here. But you can also see what kind of homes and properties are in this neighborhood. So got Spanish style here, some Spanish style properties across the street. You also have cement streets, which are kind of unique for historical neighborhoods in Long Beach. And you have these historical light poles, which you can see here. So kind of cool. And yeah, the neighborhood just gets nicer as you go into the interior streets, kind of off that main street there. So you can see nice Spanish style homes, really quiet residential area. So overall, love the area for investment. And I think this is a perfect property for somebody who's looking to own or occupy an investment property, maybe do a house hack. And I think there's a good amount of upside on this one. So now let's take a look at the numbers. Okay, so now we're looking at my pro forma for this property. So what you can see is all of the inputs here. So we have property details like square footage, lot size, year built. We also have some financing detail here. So what we're looking at is going to be 20% down purchase for owner occupied buyer. So you're putting 20% down, you're getting a little bit better interest rate because you're going to occupy one of the units. And then down here we see the unit mix and rents. So right now units are rented at $14.75 a month, but I think you can get at least $26.50. There's other 2-bed units in this neighborhood that have been nicely remodeled that are renting for over $3,000 a month. So this is a very conservative rent. I'm keeping it conservative because it is on a busier street. So I don't know how much of a detractor that might be when you're going to rent this out, but I think if you do a deluxe renovation on these, you can probably push the rents higher than what I have here. We also have 2 garages in the back. So you could rent these for additional rent, or you could look at doing an ADU. So we'll look at both scenarios. First, let's just look at what it's like if you rented these out for $100 a month each. We're gonna change this to no. And let's take a look at the summary tab. So gross rent multiplier is an equation that I look at a lot. The gross rent multiplier on duplexes is going to be higher generally than you'll see on triplexes and up. And it's because a lot of owner-occupied buyers will look at these, which kind of drives pricing up. So based on current income, this is priced at 23.5 times gross, which is really high. But once you get rents up to market, it drops down to 12.65, which is actually really low. So even though a buyer had to come in and offer $35,000 over the original asking price, I think they still got a great deal on this because there is so much upside in rents. If we scroll down here, you can see proposed financing. So our monthly payment for principal and interest is going to be about $43.88 a month. And these are annual expenses. So I deleted a lot of expenses here to show what it might look like for more of an owner-occupied buyer. So we backed out things like property management, repairs and maintenance. You'll still probably have that expense, but if you're planning to renovate these units and get rents up to the market price, you'll probably have a lower repairs and maintenance budget. To start with, utilities. This property is separately metered for gas and electric, which is great, but you have a common water meter, so utilities will come in there. We also are accounting for a gardening expense. So based on current income, the property is going to be negative about $26.20 a month. So whoever buys this, I think it's going to be probably their intent to get these units rented out for more relatively quickly. And as you can see, just with units at market price, this property is still going to be negative, but only by about $71 a month. So if somebody was going to occupy it, if somebody was going to buy this with the intent to occupy one of the units, they could renovate both units, rent out the front unit, let's say for $26.50 is what I had. rent out a garage for an additional 100, and then they would live in the other unit. And to cover the remaining mortgage, they would be paying $26.50, $100 for a garage, plus the $71 a month in negative cash flow. And so that gets your property to break even. So your total out-of-pocket cost to live in this property, 100, is about $28.21 a month, which is amazing. So it's difficult to find single-family homes in this neighborhood that are priced at $835,000. But if you do, and you were to put 20% down, you'd be paying over $5,000 a month. So your mortgage balance would be the same. So you would be responsible for this whole $43.88 principal and interest payment, and then you'd also have taxes and insurance on top of that. So if we do some quick math, so your monthly payment in a single family home of the same size in this area would be almost $5,400 a month. So this is an amazing deal, amazing way to get into this neighborhood. And on top of that, you're going to increase the value of this property by renovating it and getting those rents up to market price. So I mentioned the ADU. So that's another way that you could potentially add value to this property. So let's get rid of the garage rent there. And instead of having garages, let's say we convert that into, let's say a small 1-bed, 1-bath unit. So we saw 2 one-car garages in the alley. Most garages are going to be about 10 feet wide by 20 feet deep. So for each 1-car garage, you have about 200 square feet of living space. So we have 400 square feet of living space with those 2 garages. So 400 is a small 1-bed, maybe a large studio. We'll look at it as a 1-bed, and let's say you can rent that out for $16.50 a month, which is low for this neighborhood too. So conservative rent, we'll change this back to $26.50, and then we're gonna add renovation budget, which we didn't do before. But let's say to fully renovate both units, you're looking at, let's say $20,000 a month, or sorry, $20,000 each, which they were in pretty good condition. So that's gonna get you new kitchens and bath, and probably like some extras, maybe AC, stuff like that. So $20,000 for the 2 front units, and then to renovate the garages, turn them into an ADU, let's say $100,000. So that's an additional $140,000 that you're investing in this property, but it's going to deliver you $1,378 a month in additional cash flow. So if we subtract that from what we would be paying to live in this property, it's $1,378, I think it was. Okay, so that means if we build the ADU, we could live in one of these units for $1,272 a month. And on top of that, let's look at what adding the ADU does to our value. So for a fully renovated triplex in this neighborhood, I think you could sell it for 12.75 times gross all day long. And if you don't know how this works, I have another video on how you can use gross rent multiplier to estimate property values, which I'll link below. But just at 12.75 times gross, if we go back here, so at 12.75 times gross, this is going to calculate our new value for this property. So as a triplex, it's going to be worth almost 1.1 million. You're looking at $1,063,000 pretty conservatively. So you've added $228,000 through forced appreciation by renovating it. You're also going to have cash flow of $1,650 per month if you decide to move out and just hold this as an investment property. And you also get to depreciate the value of this property, and you're paying down the principal amount on this loan. So really strong returns on this particular building. So let me know what you think about this property. Is this a building that you would invest in? Something else I didn't mention about this one that I think is worth at least bringing up is that because it's a duplex, you can buy this property with an FHA loan, and it doesn't have to pass self-sufficiency test. So FHA allows you to put as little as 3.5% down to get into this. So this could be a great way for somebody to get into the property investment game. If you got any value out of this video, I would appreciate it if you drop me a like and a subscribe, share it with a friend, and stay tuned for more videos like this. And remember, invest well, trust Cody Charnell.